This isn't a computer. It's a lottery ticket. And it's printing millions of tickets a second, hoping for one single win. This is the story of the secret game of solo Bitcoin mining, a gamble against astronomical odds for a life-changing prize. It's a game played not with hardware, but with the mind. For most people, Bitcoin mining is an industrial scale operation. We picture vast warehouses in remote locations filled with screaming fans and thousands of specialized machines, all churning away to secure the network. And yeah, that picture is mostly accurate. These massive mining pools combine their power, find blocks, and share the rewards. It guarantees a steady, predictable, but small piece of the pie for everyone involved. It's a business. But on the fringes of this industry, a different game is being played. It's quieter, more isolated, and often happens on a desk in a spare bedroom. This is the world of the solo miner. These miners have consciously opted out of the predictable world of pools. They've chosen to go it alone, point their handful of machines at the blockchain and say, "I'll find it myself." They're giving up a steady paycheck for a tiny shot at the whole jackpot. And we're not talking about a small fraction. We're talking about the entire block reward. As of the last halving, that's 3.125 Bitcoin, a prize that can be worth $250,000 or more. This isn't a story about how to build a mining rig. This is a story about why anyone would choose to play the world's most difficult lottery. So, who is the solo miner? What kind of person signs up for this kind of punishment? They aren't one single demographic. They're hobbyists, tech idealists, and high-risk dreamers. They are people who look at the cold, hard math and see not an impossible barrier, but a challenge. Imagine a little open source BitAxe miner sitting quietly on your desk. It's hashing away, sipping electricity, and contributing its tiny drop of power to an incomprehensibly vast ocean of global hash rate. Sound exciting? For the solo miner, this machine is more than silicon and copper. It's a vessel for a special kind of hope. It embodies a spirit of defiance against a system that has become increasingly industrialized. What started as a hobby for cypherpunks with home computers has evolved into a corporate arms race. Solo mining, in that context, is a throwback. It's a way to connect with the original ethos of Bitcoin, where any individual could participate directly and, with a bit of luck, be the one to mint the next block. It's an act of faith in decentralization. But beyond the ideology, there's a powerful psychological driver here. It's the same impulse that leads people to buy a Powerball ticket when the jackpot swells. It's the thrill of what if. The solo miner isn't just running a machine. They're buying a continuous stream of lottery tickets. Every second, their hardware is performing trillions of calculations, each one a guess with a microscopic chance to win. The cost is the electricity bill. The prize is life-altering wealth. This framing is key. Solo mining services even call it lottery mining, explicitly stating the odds to manage expectations. Yet, people still play. This player understands on some level that the odds are stacked against them. They've seen the data. They know that massive public mining companies operate fleets millions of times more powerful than their humble setup. They know that their expected time to find a block can be measured in decades. And yet, they persist. Why? Because the psychological reward isn't just about the money. It's about the game itself. It's the quiet satisfaction of participating in a global system on their own terms. It's the thrill that comes from knowing that, against all odds, lightning could strike. They are driven by the same cognitive biases that fuel all forms of gambling: unrealistic optimism and a powerful susceptibility to the allure of a massive prize. They are modern-day prospectors, sifting through digital sand for a nugget of gold, fueled by little more than cheap electricity and unyielding hope. So what are the actual odds? To get the psychological game, you first have to appreciate the sheer absurdity of the mathematical one. The game of solo mining is dictated by two things: hash rate and network difficulty. Hash rate is the total combined computational power of every single miner on the Bitcoin network. It's a measure of how many guesses or hashes are being made per second across the entire world. Right now, the Bitcoin network hash rate is sitting at over 700 exahashes per second. An exahash is a 1 followed by 18 zeros. It's a number so vast, it's hard to wrap your head around. It's the combined power of every industrial scale farm and every solo operator on the planet all competing at once. Your chance of finding the next block is brutally simple. It's your hash rate divided by the total network hash rate. That's the formula. Let's make this tangible. A modern mining machine like a Bitmain Antminer S21 might produce around 200 terahashes per second. That's 200 trillion guesses every second. It sounds immense, but when you put it against the network's 700 exahashes, which is 700 million terahashes, your contribution is almost invisible. Your 200 THH per second rig represents just 0.000028% of the total network hash rate. So what does this mean for your odds? A new Bitcoin block is found about every 10 minutes. With 0.000028% of the network's power, your chance of finding any single block is about 1 in 3.5 million. For perspective, your odds of winning the Powerball jackpot are daunting at 1 in 292 million. But here, you're facing tough odds every 10 minutes. While that seems more frequent, remember this lottery is constantly being drawn, and you're almost certainly losing each time. This is where network difficulty comes in. The Bitcoin protocol is designed to find a new block roughly every 10 minutes, no matter how many miners join. To keep this rhythm, the difficulty of the puzzle automatically adjusts every 2 weeks or so. As more miners join, the hash rate goes up, and the difficulty adjusts upwards to make the puzzle harder. For the solo miner, this is a relentless uphill battle. It's like they're trying to guess a single number between 1 and 3.5 million, and every 2 weeks, the range gets even bigger. It's a game governed by a Poisson process, a statistical model for events happening at a constant rate. This means each 10-minute attempt is a completely independent event. There's no being due for a win. The gambler's fallacy, the mistaken belief that past failures make future success more likely, is a powerful psychological trap here. Based on these numbers, the average time for a 200 TH/second miner to find a block is statistically around 67 years. But that's just an average. In reality, you could find one tomorrow, or you could find one in 1,000 years. The machine doesn't care. It just keeps guessing. What kind of prize could possibly justify playing a game with such punishing odds? The answer is the Bitcoin block reward. It's the holy grail for any miner, a digital treasure chest that makes the whole thing worthwhile in one electrifying moment. When a miner successfully solves the puzzle and adds the next block to the blockchain, they get a predetermined amount of new Bitcoin. This reward is hard-coded into the protocol and is designed to decrease over time in an event known as the halving. When Bitcoin started, the reward was 50 BTC. It halved and then halved again. Following the halving in April 2024, the current block reward is 3.125 BTC. On top of that, the winning miner also collects all the transaction fees from that block. So a successful solo miner who finds a block walks away with a prize that, depending on the price of Bitcoin, could easily be worth $250,000 or more. This is the jackpot, not a partial payment, not a shared dividend, the entire prize, delivered directly to your wallet. For a hobbyist who might be spending a few $100s a month on electricity, this represents an almost unimaginable return. It's enough to pay off a mortgage, start a new life, or just breathe easier. It is, in every sense, life-changing money. This is the core of the psychological game. The human brain struggles to properly weigh small, consistent rewards against huge, improbable ones. The steady income from a mining pool is logical. It's the responsible choice. But it lacks the emotional punch of the jackpot. The possibility of a sudden, massive windfall provides a powerful dose of dopamine. It offers a form of escapism, giving the player a license to dream. The sheer size of the prize can short-circuit rational decision-making. Our minds don't intuitively grasp the difference between a 1 in a million chance and a 1 in 5 million chance. Both feel abstractly impossible, so the brain focuses on the tangible part, the prize. And when that prize is over $250,000, it becomes a beacon that can obscure the statistical darkness around it. The jackpot is the narrative. It's the story the solo miner tells themselves as they listen to the hum of their machine day after day. It's not just 3.125 Bitcoin. It's freedom. It's a winning ticket to a different life. And that is a prize many are willing to gamble for, no matter the odds. This whole secret game would be a story of pure delusion if it weren't for one critical fact. People actually win. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, the news ripples through the mining community like a shockwave, reaffirming the dream for thousands of other players. These winners are the proof that the impossible is merely improbable. These aren't just stories, they are modern-day legends. Take, for example, the incredible streak in January 2022. In 1 week, 2 different solo miners defied the odds. The first, operating with just 126 terahashes per second, solved a block and earned over $266,000. Just days later, another miner with an even smaller setup of 86 THH per second did the same thing, walking away with a prize of similar value. Then in October 2023, a solo miner using the CK pool service hit a block reward worth about $160,000 at the time. They were using a relatively small 1.14 petahashes of power. Even more recently, in August 2023, a solo miner with just 2 pH per second of hash rate mined block 803,821, earning a reward of over $180,000. Perhaps the most inspiring stories are those involving tiny, hobbyist-grade hardware. There are documented cases of miners using gear with hash rates measured in gigahashes, 1,000 times less powerful than a terahash, successfully mining a block. These events are so unlikely they are the equivalent of a statistical miracle, yet they happen. These stories are critical to the psychology of the game. They create what's known as an availability bias. Our brains give more weight to vivid, memorable events than to boring, statistical reality. We don't hear about the tens of thousands of solo miners who run their machines for years and find nothing. Their stories are silent. We only hear about the spectacular winners. The media celebrates them, forums light up, and for a moment, every solo miner feels a renewed sense of possibility. Each win serves as powerful social proof that the game is real and the prize is attainable. It's the "it could be you" slogan of the lottery, played out on the Bitcoin network. These events are not just news, they are fuel. They feed the hope, justify the electricity cost, and quiet the inner voice of doubt. They are the lifeblood of the secret game, turning a statistical fantasy into a tantalizingly real possibility. For every incredible story of a solo miner striking digital gold, there's a vast, silent ocean of those who don't. This is the unspoken truth of the game, and it's a reality shaped by powerful psychological traps. The narrative we see is dominated by survivorship bias. We celebrate the winners because they're the only ones with a story to tell. The thousands of miners who run their equipment for years, pay electricity bills, and ultimately earn nothing simply fade away. No headlines for them. This creates a dangerously skewed perception of reality. The media attention on rare wins makes them seem more common than they are. When we can easily recall examples of solo miners winning, our brains can trick us into believing the event is more probable than it actually is. We're wired to pay attention to anomalies, to the one person who survived the plane crash, not the hundreds who didn't. In solo mining, the winners are the anomalies. The statistical norm is failure. Let's go back to the math. A modern 200 TH per second machine has a statistical waiting period of around 67 years to find a single block. But that's just a median probability. The variance is so high that the majority of miners could wait much longer, potentially a lifetime, without ever finding one. And all the while, the network difficulty continues to climb, constantly moving the goalposts further away. You aren't just playing a lottery, you're playing one where the odds get worse over time. Then there's the near-miss effect. While not as clear-cut as in a traditional lottery, miners might see their hardware submitting shares that are almost a valid block, creating the illusion of being close. This doesn't discourage play, it can actually increase motivation, creating an urge to keep going because a win feels imminent. This is where the game can cross the line from a high-risk hobby into something more like problem gambling. The same mechanics are at play: chasing losses, running the miner to recoup electricity costs, an illusion of control, tweaking software to outsmart the odds, and an overestimation of your own luck. The healthy way to approach solo mining is with a clear head. It is not an investment strategy. It is speculative gambling. The money spent on electricity and hardware should be considered a sunk cost, the price of admission to play the game. The most successful solo miners, psychologically speaking, are those who truly get this. They're the ones with access to virtually free electricity, or those who treat the whole thing as entertainment. They find satisfaction in the process itself, the technical challenge, the ideological statement, the thrill of the hunt. They accept the high probability of financial loss and are prepared for the long, silent years of finding nothing. The silent majority of solo miners aren't losers. They are simply people playing by the true rules of the game, where the house, the sheer mathematical weight of the network, almost always wins. This entire world is a fascinating intersection of technology, economics, and human psychology. It's a space filled with dreamers and pragmatists, and we've only just scratched the surface. If this exploration into the hidden games of crypto fascinates you, make sure to subscribe. We dive into stories like this every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. And for those of you already in the mining space, I have a question for you in the comments. So why do they play? After all the math, the odds, and the psychological traps, why does the solo miner keep that machine humming in the corner, chasing a ghost? Because solo Bitcoin mining is more than just a search for money. It is a manifestation of some of our most fundamental drivers: hope, defiance, and the irresistible allure of the unknown. It's a rejection of the safe, predictable path in favor of a journey with a small but non-zero chance of a spectacular outcome. It's a fundamentally optimistic act. The game is a perfect storm of psychological triggers. The prize is large enough to inspire fantasy, the odds are abstract enough to be ignored, and the stories of winners are just vivid enough to make the dream feel real. It encapsulates the gambler's spirit, the belief that luck can favor the bold, and that even the smallest player can have their day. In a world of increasingly centralized systems, solo mining remains a powerful symbol of individual participation. It's a statement that the network, at its core, is still open to anyone willing to play. The solo miner isn't necessarily irrational. They've simply made a different calculation. They're weighing the cost of electricity against the psychological payoffs, the thrill of the chase, the satisfaction of contributing to a decentralized network, and the license to dream. For them, the experience of playing is part of the reward. So the next time you hear about a solo miner hitting a block with a fortune, remember what you're really seeing. You're not just seeing a lucky person. You're seeing the winner of the world's most difficult lottery. You're seeing the exception that proves the rule, the living embodiment of a dream that keeps thousands of other machines humming in the dark, each one playing the secret game, waiting for lightning to strike. And now for my question. If you had access to free electricity, would you point your hash power at a pool for a slow and steady income, or would you go solo and chase the full block reward? Let me know your strategy and your reasoning in the comments below. Thanks for watching.